This fall, an ex-Mormon is out on the prowl. Beware of the racism. Beware of the incel energy. But the most scariest thing of all, beware of the one pump chump.
So bad. You're like, wait, are we done? Wait a second. Is that it?
This fall, Kyle Capener stars in The 10-Second Man. You know, it could be said Alyssa's made one of the biggest moves this week with her letting Kyle fuck her for 10 seconds. This certainly kept her safe, and Kyle's game continues to revolve around her. They had some sort of almost breakup today because Kyle's trying to think about his game that he's been damaging so badly, and that because they're going to become targets as this showman's in the house. However, they just became officially boyfriend and girlfriend, and then we all puked in our mouths a little bit. Taylor, despite her rough start as people were going crazy earlier in the week, the first 24 hours of her reign, when I was trying to tell people that her working with some of the women like Jasmine and Indy wasn't the worst idea. Even Alyssa. I didn't think it would be as successful as it is, but I knew you can't just dismiss people in this game. That's why Michael and Brittany have this terrible fucking social game. They don't know how to work people. Taylor at least took the chance to work her social game this week, and it has paid off because a lot of the blowback from Kyle not using her veto to take down Indy, Jasmine pissed at Kyle, Indy pissed at Kyle. They're also pissed at Alyssa because it seems to a lot of people that Kyle's game only revolves around Alyssa, which is actually the truth. So Taylor working her social game on her HOH worked out in the end. A long way to go to repair some of those relationships, however, but I'm glad she tried it. Brittany continues to be Taylor's blind spot, but Brittany is not a blind spot for a lot of people after today, which I will talk more about Brittany and Michael. I will have my rant on them later in this video, not for the faint of heart. So if you're a Michael or Brittany fan, I guess you could cry about it. Joseph and Taylor are now tied together, but they are in the costumes of Sid Vicious and Nancy Spungen, a couple from punk rock era. It's a very odd choice from production. I get that they're following the punk theme, but Sid Vicious murdered her and then basically killed himself. So a dark thing. I don't know this fucking show. I don't know where these ideas come from on the show. I don't know why CBS is so complacent with the bullshit that is ran through this production. Let's get to the only topic we're talking about because it's the only thing happening in the game, that being the fucking race war in this house full of racists. Players becoming worse than some of the worst people we saw pre-jury. They went out of their way to cast this season to be problematic. It makes no sense why they continue to do this to themselves, but they fucking do it. For any of the asinine people in the comments who still act like things aren't racist, if things aren't so racist, why does production continue to hide the things that are going on? We don't see this shit in the episodes. They've hid Kyle being problematic, starting the race war, the person bringing up the racist rhetoric, the person using the race cards has been Kyle. And they don't show it on the episodes. Why wouldn't they do that? Because it's problematic. Today they started cutting the feeds a lot when it was a conversation between the racist three, which is Michael and Brittany joining Kyle. They cut the feeds a lot. If it's not wrong, why aren't they letting us watch it? If it's not problematic, why aren't they showing it? But of course they could show Taylor talking about Jasmine, and it's just one of the many reasons this show and this game will never evolve beyond the racism that was built up for pretty much the history of the show, but especially over the past decade. The foundation of Big Brother is racism. But my question always remains, if you can't show any of this on the episodes, why is it allowed as gameplay? Why is racism allowed as gameplay in the first place? Because it shouldn't be. Big Brother UK took that very, very seriously, but of course never Big Brother US. And we saw the same race war in BB Can 10 this exact same season, and people try to sweep it under the rug because it's easy to sweep under the rug for Big Brother Canada because Canadians sweep everything under the rug. They don't like to deal with their actual problem. You can't get away with this shit in America. This is just not going to be swept under the rug. So I don't really know what production or CBS actually thinks of the season. I do think CBS has been on production's neck, but CBS remains complacent in letting the show continue to be the most racist show on television. For the past decade, the show has not gave a single fuck about the safety of their black players. We've seen in the past many times the isolation of black players, some very aggressively, and now we're seeing it again this season at the beginning of the season, and we have this leftover alliance built only for it to fall apart because of racism, and then the same things start happening, microaggression. I had some great comments in the comments of the last video. I don't know if it's Roni or Ronnie, but Queen says, I'm most disappointed in Michael, who is part of a marginalized group himself and should understand the ramifications of microaggressions and dog whistle statements like silent majority. I wanted to believe Michael never ratted Kyle out for good reasons, but it turns out he bought into Kyle's BS of inciting white folks' biggest fear, that the POC will unite. I too have held off for 2 weeks to talk about Michael and his racism because I saw it. It was happening. His racial bias was pretty fucking clear to me. And now he's gone full on joining Kyle. And to me, what is overt racism, not covert racism. And anytime people started, 2 weeks ago when people started questioning Michael, it was always a lot of things throwing back at him that you're all acting homophobic about Michael, you're all acting homophobic about Michael. And the people saying that Michael is doing this and agreeing with Kyle because he has a crush on Kyle or wants to fuck Kyle, probably pretty homophobic. However, Michael does not want to fuck Kyle. Michael is just racist. That is why he's going along with the racist gameplay harder than anyone else. It's Kyle and Michael. They're the duo bringing this the most. Brittany does not have a backbone. I think she sees some of the problems with this, and she still should be called out and dragged because she is going along with it too. Because I genuinely don't think you could be peer pressured to be racist. I don't think you can. I mean, if you have that weak of a backbone, you're just fucking pathetic. Which Brittany is fucking pathetic. One of the many middle schoolers in this game with shit ton of insecurities at her old ass age. So I know white straight men, we get called out all the time for our problematic behavior, and rightfully so, because as history shows, we have a lot of fucking problematic behavior. But to say that because a white man is gay, he can't be racist is fucking ridiculous. And just very, very untrue. Frankly, just go look at the RuPaul's Drag Race fandom, where a good, large portion of the white fan base is basically Big Brother Facebook. Nizik1979 also had a great comment in yesterday's video saying, they have the Charles Manson strategy. Stoke a race war when African Americans inevitably win. They need a leader because in Michael and Brittany's minds, they cannot lead themselves, so they would turn to the only white people left, aka Charles Manson. That was Manson's ultimate plan, and no matter how you sugarcoat it, they are using Kyle's racial biases as strategy for them to win the game. 100%. And Michael knows exactly what he's doing. Stop babying this fucking man. Michael is a super fan. He's been on Twitter. He knows the history of the show. So he knows exactly what he's doing because it's happened so many times on the show in the past. So there's zero excuses for him. Zero. I'm not totally on board calling Brittany completely racist. She pushed back when this was initially happening. But she's going along with the racial biases now. And she's going along with the racist gameplay. And she just is. That's just the way it is. And I'm sorry, white folks, that you can't have your old show back where all the racism was just happening and it could get swept under the rug and you just deal with it because there was only a few minorities on the show. That shit's over. It's over. You now have to watch the show like black fans have always watched the show, having to watch the racism in this game happening to players that look like them. So white people, you now have to deal with all of the rhetoric that the white players bring into the game, and some of us, not all of us, because a lot of people on social media and YouTube are fake as fuck, but we will call it out. And it's going to become a huge topic. That's just the way it is. Racism should not be allowed to be used as gameplay. But production allows it, and so then it falls back on the players, and if they do it, they're going to get called out for it, and they're going to have to fucking live with it. Let's just break down why this is only racist gameplay, because it makes no sense for Brittany and Michael's games to completely try and throw Taylor on the bus, who was very much loyal to them. And Brittany could try and play her little two sides thing and say that Taylor's the bad actress, but Taylor's actually been able to turn Jasmine and Terrence, who have hated her this entire game, to believe that Taylor's been telling the truth this week. Meanwhile, they've been shitting all over Brittany because they see right through her. Jasmine, of all people who's shitty at this game, sees right through Brittany that all she does is basically be a snitch. Michael sucks at making connections with everyone, but he's only been able to make connections with Brittany, who they are so awful for each other as a duo, so fucking unwatchable on the feeds with all of the mini spirals they do going over stupid ass scenarios all day long. Michael dismisses most of them. That's another thing we should probably talk about, how Michael and Brittany want to join Kyle in seeing a lot of these players of color as nothing but stereotypes, but Michael is actually a gay trope. He has no respect for women. He always shuts down Brittany. He's always hated talking to Taylor, the two people who have ever wanted to work with him in this entire game. Nobody else has actually wanted to work with Michael. I guess maybe Paloma early on. And that's why he's all with Kyle. He doesn't give a shit what the women have to say. He only wants to work with Kyle. Brittany has far superior reads than Michael. Yet Michael always shuts down most of her superior reads because he thinks he's better than her, but this loser is better than nobody. And Brittany continues to make the absolute least sense because this big dummy, all of this throwing Taylor under the bus to go to Kyle's side for Alyssa, and Alyssa said she thinks Brittany and Michael are sketchy. Michael and Brittany have nobody in this game besides Kyle and Taylor, so you can, I guess, see why they are trying to play the middle poorly, because Kyle and Taylor have had talks about how they've heard two different things from Michael and Brittany already, and they think they're so good at this game, but they're not. I had to rant today. I wanted to talk about more. I wanted to make a silly video like I usually do, but we'll save that for tomorrow if I remember. But I had to get this rant out of the way. To sum it up, if you truly pay attention to Michael and Brittany's social game and the way they have joined in with Kyle to fear all of the non-white folks, you will see all of their overt, for Michael, and covert racism for Brittany. Turner, meanwhile, shut down Kyle's shit-talking of Taylor and the talk about flipping on the leftovers. One, because unlike Brittany, Turner knows the alliance is best for him, and he doesn't have racial biases or just straight-up racism like Brittany and Michael.